Shri Tripura Rahasyam MahatmyaKhandam, Chapter 29. Listening to the request of Himavan, the great Devi, who was in the special form, said auspiciously thus: O Lord of the mountains, the boon requested by you will soon materialize. I will be born as your daughter. Even though it is against my nature to have a physical form, you have, by your persistent penance, made it possible. Therefore, you will forget that I am the Supreme Shiva and treat me like a worldly daughter. Saying this, the great Devi vanished. Then Himavan, who was happy securing his want, bowed to the mother and returned to his abode along with his dear wife Meena. In a short duration, at an auspicious time, Meena, the wife of Himavan, became pregnant, and the great Devi Shiva, as directed by Sri Tripura Sundari, entered her womb for the sake of the welfare of Vishnu and other gods. Then, in the sacred house of Himavan, because of carrying the power of the Supreme Devi in her womb, Menaka glittered. Himavan saw his wife as a goddess and was extremely happy at the fulfillment of his desire. Seeing Menaka, whose body was heavy with all round development, whose cheeks were pale, whose face was glowing with drop of sweat, who was tired at odd timings, whose nipples were dark and glossy, the hair on whose stomach with vanished folds was protruding, whose loins were concealed, and who was displaying disinterest in pleasures. Himavan discarded his mental agony. From the time when the auspicious Gauri got into the womb of Menaka, everything prospered for Himavan. The trees were full of flowers and fruits, the fruits were juicy and fragrant, the birds were chirping auspiciously, the gentle breeze was soothing to the animals. The sky was filled with pure clouds, the clouds showered perfume. The rays of the sun were clean. The directions looked cleansed. The night was beautiful with the stars and the moon. The people were happy. Such signs were seen everywhere. Seeing them, the exhilarated Himavan thought it to be the expected time for the birth of Gauri. Then the wife of Himavan, at that most auspicious moment, delivered a female baby, who was the incarnation of Gauri, the consort of Shankara. Seeing her with 3 eyes, with crescent moon on her head, wielding the sword, the shield, the club, and the sharp trident in her 4 hands, with dark green hue, the red garment, and completely bejeweled, Menaka, the wife of Himavan, was scared, and she informed Himavan about the baby. Going there, Himavan saw the girl and realizing her to be the Supreme Devi, prostrated before her. Then he stood up and started praising her with devotional exuberance. O Devi Gauri, salutations to you, who are worshipped by Indra and the lords of the universe. You are the destroyer of the distress of the devotees. Salutations to you, the unique cause of the worlds. O Bhavani, many salutations to you. You are the unique supreme power of Shiva. You are the string holding the gamut of worlds. You are the string holding the gamut of worlds. You are all pervasive. You are the purport of sound Om. You are the myriad formed. O Bhavani, many salutations to you. Who else other than you is capable of rescuing the supplicants who are drowned in the deep and dreadful ocean of existence? Hence, please save me who is suffering. O Bhavani, many salutations to you. O compassionate Devi, having known that I am caught in the mouth of the alligator called ignorance and bitten by the great serpent in the form of sensory desires, it is not right on your part to delay rescuing me. O Bhavani, many salutations to you. Since long I have firmly believed that your feet release me from the bonds of distress, and that there is no one else for me in this world who can quell my misery. O Bhavani, many salutations to you. Thus praying, Himavan bowed again with folded hands, and, overwhelmed with devotion, spoke to the auspicious Gauri. O Devi, you have now amply blessed me. It would be no surprise if the desires of those who request the Kalpavriksha are fulfilled. There is no one on this earth who is more fortunate than me because of having the Devi as my daughter. There cannot be a better fortune than that. Blessed by the Devi, I, who am inert and helpless, have placed my foot on the heads of very lucky persons. I am really fortunate. I am really lucky. No one else is as much fortunate as I am, who is seeing the Devi in the form of my daughter. O Devi, I want to request you for something that is in my mind, but I am afraid. O compassionate protector of the devotees, please order me to request you. Hearing Himavan, the Devi said sweetly thus, O Himavan, discard fear and let me know your want. There is nothing unattainable by my devotee. Hearing her, the Lord of the Mountains bowed and spoke with folded hands, O Devi, I would like to see you in the form of a normal, worldly child. Parents in this world would be happy to see the sports of the children. By seeing your divine form, I am not getting that love which a parent would have from his progeny. My beloved wife, Mena, also wants to see you as a normal child. Your dark and fierce form as Kali is not desirable. Please assume a golden hue and justify your name as Gauri. O Maheshwari, please bless me with the please bless me with that curse regarding seeing your form which you had declared earlier. Hearing Himavan, the consort of Shiva, spoke thus, O Himavan, my curse on you was for your benefit. Without forgetting my divine form, you will not have that love towards me as your daughter. However, on some other occasion, I will show my glorious form to you. Saying thus, the great Devi concealed her divine form. Assuming the form of a child, the daughter of Himavan started crying. Hearing the cry of the baby, Himavan, along with his wife, forgot the divine form and thought that a female baby was born. His wife, Menaka, out of delusion, felt the pain of delivery. The people there, hearing the cry, rushed to the palace and inquired. The ladies who heard about the birth of a girl baby came to the labor room and with great joy saw the marvelous beautiful baby who was brilliant like crores of suns, whose body was golden in color, whose eyes were broad like the lotus petal, whose face was like the full moon, whose palm and feet were red in color, who had a proportionate body, and who looked like a beautiful painted picture. Then the midwife carried the baby. Then Himavan, purifying himself with water, quickly performed the rituals connected with the birth of the baby. and gifted 10,000 cows and 1 lakh gold coins to eminent Brahmins. There was a great festival atop Himalaya mountain. The gods played the kettle drums and showered flowers. The palace of Himavan was crowded and filled with the sounds of the Brahmins, the musicians, the dancers, the panegyrists, the mendicants, and the artisans. Then, at the proper time, Himavan performed the naming ceremony of his daughter through Brahmins. The priest said thus, O Himavan, because of her pure golden hue, she will be reputedly known on the earth by the name Gauri. Himavan, thus having the great Devi Gauri as his daughter, was prosperous and rejoiced seeing the play of that girl. Thus sporting Gauri grew in the house of Himavan. Quickly, as it were, Gauri attained teenage. Seeing her, Himavan started thinking about a suitable husband for her. Himavan approached sage Garga and bowed to him and inquired thus, O great sage, whom will my daughter wed? Please let me know. There is nothing past or future that is not known to you. Hearing the words of Himavan, the great sage Garga meditated for a moment, and knowing about her husband, happily addressed Himavan after bowing to the Supreme Gauri. O Himavan, listen to the glorious story about your daughter. She is Devi Bhavani. She is Devi Bhavani, who was worshipped by you. Her husband is none other than Shiva, who is worshipped by all the gods. Deluded by the curse from her, you are unaware of that. Hearing sage Garga, Himavan recollected the Supreme Gauri. One day, the divine sage Narada, the crown among devotees, reached the house of Himavan to understand the greatness of Gauri. Seeing the divine sage, Himavan suddenly rose and worshipped him after offering a seat. Thus honored, the sage Narada, smiling, spoke to Himavan. O Himavan, I have come here to see your daughter. Show her to me soon, and thereafter I will proceed to heaven. Listening to Narada, Himavan quickly brought Gauri and said to her thus, My child, bow to the sage. Then Gauri saluted the great sage. Seeing the Supreme Gauri, who was bowing, the eminent divine sage, concealing the divine secret, mentally bowed to her. Seeing her teen-aged, Narada said thus, O Himavan, you have got a daughter after a long time by the grace of the divine. She is ready to be given in marriage. The ancestors of a dispirited person who does not get his daughter married at the right age to a suitable groom will suffer misfortune. O Lord of the mountains, let me know who is going to wed your daughter. A daughter wedded to a deserving person will bring great happiness. Listening to Narada, Himavan bowed and spoke with folded hands thus, O divine sage, you are the onlooker of the entire universe. No auspicious event takes place without your knowledge. Based on the words of sage Garga, I consider Trilochana, Shiva, as the bridegroom. Tell me, who is your disciple, your view? Hearing Himavan, the divine sage said thus, O Himavan, listen. If you think Shiva as the bridegroom, I do not consider him fit to marry your daughter, who is a jewel in the entire universe. She deserves a husband who shines with excellent qualities. Every aspect of Shiva is inauspicious. His behavior is always frantic. He dwells in the burial ground. He is attended by devils. He is decorated with serpents. His garment is animal skin. He has three eyes. He subsists on poison. He looks frightening. In the past, his wife Gauri, seeing his madness, became invisible. Similarly, Dakshayani, seeing him insulted by honorable persons, reduced herself to ashes in the great sacrifice. Therefore, Shiva does not deserve to marry your daughter, who is a repository of excellent virtues. O Himavan, listen. I will let you know who is the right person to marry your daughter. The lotus eyed Madhava, who dwells in Vaikuntha, who is the supreme being, has desirable qualities to marry this girl. She also deserves to marry Vishnu by virtue of her greatness. O Himavan, how great it would be to have Vishnu as your son in law. Attracted by him, Lakshmi is serving him every day. If you agree with me, I will choose Hari, the Lord of the universe. Listening to Narada and forgetting by the curse of Gauri, the consort of Shambhu, whom he had earlier worshipped through penance, Himavan, deciding Madhava as the bridegroom, spoke to the divine sage thus: I am fortunate that you have selected a suitable husband for my daughter. Truly, the inauspicious Shiva does not deserve my daughter. Go this day and soon establish a line such that Vishnu will wed my daughter. Let there be no delay. Good events are beset with calamities. Hence, please act in such a way which will not spoil the issue. Hearing Himavan, Narada with a smile said to Himavan, I will achieve your requirement, and proceeded to the heaven. End of the 29th chapter of the MahatmyaKhandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam. Chapter 30. Not accepting the resolve of her father, Gauri, concealing her real form and enacting satisfaction, went with four of her friends to the auspicious but dense forest on the slopes of Himalayan mountain, which was replete with the humming of the bees, which had many shady creepers and plants, which was grand with many birds, which was without sun's rays, which was cool, which had whitish patches from snowfall, which had no pastures, from where at a distance was the silver capped peak, which had shining streams, limpid like the minds of the sages, flowing on pure stone slabs, whose tall trees were sheltering groups of clouds, which was filled with many dancing peacocks, and the music from the cuckoos. Therefore, on the banks of the divine river, the daughter of Himavan sat surrounded by her friends. Seeing the tired Gauri, one of her friends washed her feet with the Ganga water. Another friend fanned Gauri with a straw fan, who was sleeping on the thigh of her friend as a pillow. Another friend the feet of Gauri on her own thighs that were soft like silk, and rubbed them gently. Resting thus for a while and rising up, Gauri, along with her friends, bathed in the Ganges and reached a cave nearby. There, in the night, she worshipped a sand idol of Tripura Sundari seated on the thigh of Kameshwara, with perfume, flowers, and fruits in the prescribed way. She praised goddess Tripura with many Vedic and Tantric hymns. After worshipping her specially with rare fruits and flowers, she offered music, dance, and circumambulations. While she was worshipping, the night ended. Next morning, Gauri sang a splendid prayer with her mind intoxicated by the juice of love towards the lotus feet of the supreme Tripurambika. Gauri began to chant the wonderful Jnanakalika. Gauri began to chant the wonderful Jnanakalika prayer. O auspicious Devi, you are the ocean of intelligence. You are the conscious self in all. There is nothing in this universe that does not contain your aspect, portion. Hence, you are the existence that is true and false. The wise proclaim this world as real as well as unreal. You transcend both. Persons deluded by your power of illusion do not comprehend you. You are knowledge and bliss, pervading all. Bifurcating with regard to the concept of time, people consider you as illusion alone, limited to forms like earth and other creations. The ignorant do not cognize you, the tranquil great Devi, as different from darkness and light. The wonderful 36 principles starting from Shiva up to the earth are seen in your body like the painting on a cloth, like the moon and stars in water, like the sky. You are vast and you are all. Anything in the universe, whether united or divided, within or without, bright or dark, cannot shine or be comprehended without you, the intelligent principle. Hence, you are everything. There is nothing other than you. In the mental ground of great yogis who have controlled their mind by dissolving the senses and who have totally shed qualities like desire, anger, and so on, it is you alone, the embodiment of intelligence and bliss, who shines. Similarly, the great yogis who do not control their wavering senses but are carefully treading the path of realizing the Devi see within their being, which is like a mirror reflecting the elixir of self knowledge, everything glittering. To uplift the ignorant people who are unable to achieve salvation through the subtle and vigorous path of the Veda, you assume different gross forms that can be seen by them. You create many wonderful paths for worshipping your gross forms, and whichever path a person takes, you give him the knowledge of identity with you and absorb him just as an ocean accepts all rivers. Thus, among many gross forms, the one wielding the bow, the arrow, the rope, the god is important. Just as the head in the human body is preeminent, those who worship Sri Tripura Sundari are the most excellent. After showing many good paths of worship to rescue people from the ocean of misery, you, who is famous as the compassionate embodiment of the supreme power, are the only one adorable. O Devi, let me, O Devi, let my mental be drinking the honey from your lotus feet stay there happily. O Mother, lending your ears to my prayer, cast just once your merciful glance on me. Gauri, after praying to the Supreme Devi Tripura with the prayer named Jnanakalika, started meditation. Then, during meditation, when Gauri became one with the meditated, Tripura Sundari appeared before her. The Devi Tripura Sundari, who was seated in the Sri Chakra chariot, bedecked with jewels, served on either sides by Lakshmi and Saraswati, holding fans, red like the hibiscus flower, wearing the crescent moon, three-eyed, seated on the left lap of Kameshwara, wearing a gem-set silk garment, saw the meditating Gauri, who had become the meditated, and who was not disturbed by the uproar of the hundreds of servants. Then Sri Tripura Sundari looked at Chittakarshini, who, catching the intention of the Devi, attracted the mind of Gauri, which was absorbed in Sri Tripura Sundari, the meditated. With her mind dragged out of the object of meditation, Gauri, the daughter of Himavan, wondered why that happened, and opening her eyes, looked around. Seeing the Supreme Devi, the thrilled Gauri bowed to her and, with folded hands, addressed her thus: O Devi, instruct me, your servant, what I should do now. My elder brother, the lotus eyed Vishnu, made me take this body. Honoring your words, I have assumed this body. My husband, bestowed by you, is engrossed in penance. Therefore, O Parameshwari, order my further course of action. Hearing the request from Gauri, Tripura Sundari said thus: O Parvati, listen. There is nothing unknown to you. Born out of my aspect, you will not be disappointed. Abandoning his penance, Shiva will wed you. Soon you will beget a son who will bring joy to everyone. O daughter of Himavan, the prayer containing the Shakta philosophy with which you praised me will enlighten its singers and will become, by my grace, famous by the name Jnanakalika Stotram. I will be pleased with those who recite that prayer. Speaking thus to Gauri, Devi Tripura Sundari vanished. Then Gauri, bowing to Sri Tripura Sundari, bathed in the sacred divine river, and after worshipping her idol, again immersed it in the water. Then, eating the food that was offered to the Devi, the daughter of the mountain, enjoying the beauty of the forest, relaxed on a cool slab covered with leaves and listened to the talk of her friend. One of the friends said to Gauri thus: O Gauri, listen. I think you have acted without forethought. It is not right coming to the frightening forest, leaving your aged parents, who will be anxious about you. Without you, both of them are exposed to the conflagration of sorrow, and really, like moth, they may die. Hearing the words of her friend, Gauri, concealing her real glory, said thus with tears because of the separation from her parents: O friend, listen. I have already mentally taken Shiva as my husband. My father is preventing that. Therefore, I have come to this dreaded forest along with friends like you. Let the Supreme Devi, whom I have propitiated, protect my parents. Let the Supreme Devi, whom I have propitiated, protect my parents. Saying many such words, Gauri slept. End of the 30th chapter of the MahatmyaKhandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam. Chapter 31. After Gauri had gone to the forest, Himavan, returning to the palace from the garden, was eager to see his daughter, who would welcome him every day. When she did not appear on that day, Himavan thought thus: Why has my daughter not come today to greet me? She might have gone somewhere, or she may be ill. Or is she angry with me? No, she has never been angry with me. There should be some other reason. Entering the inner chambers of the palace, he questioned his dear wife Mena. Inquired as to where the daughter is. Mena replied thus to her husband: Wanting to play, she would have gone with her friends. Otherwise, she may be in her friend's house or in the garden. I will send the maid to bring her. Sent thus, the maid searched for Parvati in her friend's house and also in the garden, and returned saying that she was not seen anywhere. Hearing the words of the caretaker, Himavan, disturbed by sorrow, cursed his ill fate and went out along with his servants in search of his daughter here and there. Blinded by grief and stumbling, he searched everywhere in the house of the city and in the forest. Again, thinking that she might have gone home, he returned to the palace, and not finding her, Himavan lamented thus, O daughter, where have you gone? Have you been abducted by someone? Or have you been eaten up by a demon or a jackal? Leaving me, the aged dear father, she has never gone out any time. No one would kill her because of her noble virtues. She would control even my enemies. Without her, I have no interest to live even for a moment. I will surely kill myself by a weapon, or by drinking poison, or by hanging, or by entering fire. What a pity. Sometimes even the words of gods will be false. The astrologer had said that she will be the source of honor for me, and her husband would be an omniscient, venerable, great Purusha who will bring special fame for me in the whole world. How can such words of the gods become false? Wailing thus, Himavan fell unconscious on the ground. Seeing the plight of the king, the ministers awakened him and encouraged him with consoling words. O king, do not be disheartened. Courage is the best in times of distress. Great persons will never lose courage in times of difficulty. It is said that only a coward will indeed discard courage during calamity. Therefore, be bold and act guided by your intelligence. Thus, woken up by the ministers while Himavan was about to go with them for searching, a messenger arrived there. Praising Himavan and bowing to him, the messenger spoke thus, O king, when we were briskly searching for her, we found in the northeast direction a narrow path leading to the great forest. Your daughter might have gone through that path. We are thinking so on seeing her footsteps. We have seen also the footsteps of 4 others. O Lord, even in the city, those 4 ladies who are the best friends of your daughter are not seen anywhere. Thousands of servants who know the route very well have gone in that path in search of your daughter. Getting this news, I have come to you. Receiving the good news from the messenger, Himavan, as if swooning with happiness, immediately presented a gem chain to the messenger and quickly went in that route showed by him. Seeing the dense, formidable forest full of trees, bushes, creepers, and huge, fearful trees, along with the frightening humming of bees, Himavan grieved very much. Oh, what a difficult plight! Along with her friends, how did my tender daughter, with soft feet, enter the forest path, filled with iron like sharp thorns? On no occasion have I made her angry. Even so, why has she entered the forest with her friends? How can she be alive in this forest infested with carnivorous quadrupeds? She would die just out of fear. She might have been eaten up by quadrupeds or stung by serpents, or else she might have been kidnapped by hunters or killed by bears. Anyway, she is lost today. I cannot see her again. Wailing thus, and stumbling frequently, and scorched by the sun, Himavan dropped on the ground. Then he was quickly moved under a tree by his followers and saved by sprinkling cool water. Gaining consciousness and opening his eyes, Himavan, who was agitated by grief, thought only about his daughter. Then, suddenly, a messenger approached Himavan and, after praising and prostrating, pleased him by saying thus, O Lord of the mountains, your daughter is 8 miles, Krosha Chatushtaya, away from here. She has been found by the servants sleeping on the bank of the river, surrounded by her friends, and our messengers are guarding her all around. I have reached your feet to communicate the news. You should quickly go and see Gauri, who is a source of joy for you. Hearing the words of the messenger that were dripping elixir, Himavan suddenly rose as if getting life back and quickly went to the forest through the path shown by the messenger. There he saw his daughter and her friends sleeping. Taking her on his lap and smelling her head, Himavan, with tears of joy, asked his daughter thus, My child, why have you come to the forest? Why did you leave me, who has not done any wrong? Without you, your mother is holding her life with great difficulty. Tell me without delay the reason for your coming to the forest. Listening to the sorrowful words of her father, Parvati, displaying her simplicity, fascinated everyone and said thus, O father, listen to the truth which I will tell you. I have mentally taken the three-eyed Shiva as my husband. But based on the words of the divine sage Narada, you are working against my desire. Hence, I have come to the forest with the idea of sacrificing my life. I cannot marry Krishna just as a sister cannot her brother. If you tell me truly that you will offer me to Shambhu, then I will go with you to the city, or else I will live in the forest. Saying thus, she embraced her father and wept. The helpless Himavan, seeing his weeping daughter, consoled her by wiping her tears and said thus, My child, you really do not know Shiva. Who is Shiva? Just by name. He is inauspicious by his looks and character. He dwells in burial ground, wearing serpents, animal skin in his garment, skulls form his garland. He is attended by devils. He is whitish as if suffering from vitiligo. He is mad with anger. Earlier, his consort, Dakshayani, grieved about his conduct and reduced herself to ashes in her father's house, whereas Vishnu is full of all good qualities. He is beautiful with yellow garment, fragrant garland, Kaustubha gem, and he is auspicious. Devi Lakshmi married him for his inherent excellent qualities. My child, Vishnu with comparable good qualities is suitable for you and not Shiva. Hearing the words of her father, Gauri, with angry red eyes, said thus, O father, whether auspicious or not, Shiva should be my husband. I cannot marry any other person, even if he is good. In this regard, I believe in my fate. Please do not talk anything else. Listening to his daughter, Himavan, who was worried about separation from her, agreed with her and took her to the city. Then he thought of offering his daughter to Shiva, and in his assembly remembered Narada. Knowing that the effulgent Narada appeared there, Himavan worshipped him as ordained in the scriptures. Accepting the worship from Himavan, Narada spoke thus, O Himavan, let me know why you remembered me. I have accomplished your auspicious desire. Requested by me, the Lord of Lakshmi, the Supreme Being, has become The Supreme Being has, because of your good fortune, agreed to be your son in law. Listening to Narada, the sacred Himavan, with folded hands, begged Narada for excuse and said thus, O sage, I had told you that I will offer my daughter to Vishnu, but due to my bad luck, it has turned false. The next day, after I told you that I will offer my daughter to Vishnu, my angry daughter entered, along with her friends, the fearsome forest, which is like the mouth of death. With great difficulty, we traced her and with effort brought her back. She does not want to wed Vishnu. Instead, due to her ill luck, she wants to marry Shiva. O sage, what should I do in this matter? Drowned as I am in the ocean of terrible adversity, you alone can save me. Hearing Himavan, the divine sage, in order to see the glory of Gauri, became very angry and remembered Vijaya and others who were the servants of Vishnu, and just by that remembrance they came to Narada. Then Narada, burning with anger, said to Vijaya, thus, this mean Himavan, who is a black mark to the clan of the mountains, after promising to offer his daughter to my Lord Vishnu, is trying to humiliate us. Hence, arrest him along with his daughter and take them to Vishnu to wed her. Hearing the words of Narada, Vijaya, the chief attendant, defeated Himavan in the combat and captured him. Then all the citizens of Himavan wailed, and thousands of ladies and children wailed and ran away. Mena, along with her daughter, went to Kasyapa, the priest of the mountain race. Seeing her, who was with fear holding her daughter and crying, Help, help, Kasyapa said to her, My child, do not panic, come. Saying thus, he took them inside his house and, after consoling her, addressed Parvati thus. End of the 31st chapter of the MahatmyaKhandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam. Chapter 32. O Mahadevi, Parvati, why are you weeping as if afraid? Please stop your sport. I know that you have no fear. You are indeed deluding us by your fear. Then Kashyapa addressed the frightened Mena, the wife of Himavan, thus, O Mena, listen. You are illusioned. Recollect the previous birth of the Devi. O Queen of Himavan, seek shelter along with me under the same Devi, after worshipping whom you got your daughter. Listening to the words of the priest and remembering the Virgin Great Mother, Mena, prostrating on the ground, pleased her through varieties of prayers. You are the mother of the universe and the supreme Devi. By your birth, through me, you are really putting on costumes like an actor. There is no one in the world more fortunate than me, because you, who are invisible to persons with infinite merits, are born to me. Then Kashyapa profusely praised Shankari and said thus, O mother, even the lord of the serpents, Adishesha, is incapable of praising you. Hence can I praise you? O great Devi, bless me. Protect the beloved of Himavan, the mother of Parvati, who is helpless and frightened. Thus praised, Gauri assumed her real form, dark like a destructive cloud, seated on the lion, shining with embellishments, wielding weapons with blazing edges, with 3 eyes, wearing golden garments, with the moon decorating her head. She proceeded from the palace like the sun from the ocean. Then Narada, seeing the supreme Devi Gauri, the consort of Shankara, bowed to her and praised her through many hymns. Meanwhile, the servants of Vishnu, after binding Himavan, came there to catch his daughter Gauri. Seeing them and her defeated father, who was wailing, Gauri became red with anger. From her body emerged the dreadful Devi Aruna, who was exuding fire from her mouth, who was dark like the deadly night, who had 3 heads and 3 eyes, who was wielding wielding the trident and the sword and making a terrible noise. She bowed to Gauri and asked her what should be done. Then Gauri ordered her to destroy the servants of Vishnu in her presence. Then Aruna, with the fire emerging from her sword and trident, burnt and destroyed the servants of Vishnu, who were equal to Vishnu by their looks, valor, and weapons. Hearing that news, the angry Vishnu appeared there, mounted on Garuda, wielding the Sudarsana disc. He saw Aruna Devi, who was fearful with her blazing mouth, and discharged the Sudarsana disc with 1,000 teeth that was enveloped by huge fire. Then Aruna, seeing the Sudarsana disc, which was brilliant like crores of suns, which was in the sky, reducing everything to ashes, just like the fire of dissolution, dispatched her trident against that disc. That trident, which was released from the hand of Aruna, very quickly reduced to ashes the Sudarshana disc, just like the fire, a blade of grass. Then the angry Vishnu with his mace chased Aruna Devi with great speed and struck her on the head. Thus struck, the Jvalamukhi blew a blaze in front of Vishnu, whereby Garuda, the lord of the birds, was burnt. Then all the gods and human beings, seeing Jvalamukhi catching hold of Vishnu and swallowing him, cried in agony. As the angry Jvalamukhi was about to swallow Vishnu, Gauri held her throat and said thus with a smile, "O darling, enough of your courage. Spit out my brother, who is the protector of the universe. Otherwise, the 3 worlds will soon be destroyed." Then Vishnu, spat out by Aruna, fell unconscious on the ground, and the mass of fire also was thrown out along with Vishnu. Then Gauri quickly pulled out Vishnu, who was amidst the flame. That flame pervaded sidewise, upward, and all round. Seeing that devastating, dreadful flame, Brahma and other gods, who were frightened, prayed to the great Devi Gauri, and trembling, they said in a loud voice thus, "Protect us, protect us." The glorified Devi said with dignity to the gods, who had sought shelter under her, "O gods, do not be afraid. I have granted protection to you. Speak out quickly the boon that you want from me." Hearing this, Brahma and the other gods spoke to the daughter of Himavan thus, "O Devi, please quell this growing flame, and which is like the fire of dissolution, and save the moving and non-moving creation." Thus requested by the gods, Gauri suppressed the flame and addressed the gods thus, "O gods, listen to me. This Jvalamukhi, who has emerged out of my anger and indeed engaged in swallowing the universe, cannot be totally controlled. Now let her stay in this great mountain. Pleased with the worship by gods and human beings, let her grant their wants. At the time of final destruction, she will be content devouring the entire universe. She is the destructive power of Rudra. In association with her, Shiva will destroy the entire universe." Saying thus, the Devi, casting her ambrosial glances, revived Vishnu and the group of servants who had died. After being praised by Vishnu and others, she assumed her form as the daughter of Himavan and released her father, who was bound. Even after seeing the divine form of Gauri and understanding her glory, Himavan, deluded by the illusory power of Gauri, really forgot that immediately and thought that he has been somehow set free. Then he embraced his daughter and fondled her and bowed to the gods. With folded hands he addressed Vishnu, the Lord of the three worlds. O Lord of Lakshmi, I beg you, please excuse my helplessness. There was no doubt in my offering my daughter to you. My words have become false because she wants to marry Shiva at any cost. You please pardon me for my mistake. Your son, Brahma, and other gods have assembled here. Instruct me, who has surrendered to you, about what I should do now. Hearing the words of Himavan, Brahma said with a smile thus: O Lord of mountains, you are blessed to have a daughter like this, who deserves the great Lord Shiva alone as her husband. Even Shiva deserves her, who is the repository of virtues, as his wife. How can Vishnu, who is her brother, become her husband? O best among mountains, right away I will mediate with Shiva to marry your daughter. Saying thus, Brahma approached Shiva, and after bowing and lauding the great Lord Shankara, the benefactor of the world, said to him thus: O Mahadeva, we request you to accept the daughter of Himavan as your wife at this moment, which is auspicious. Our request does not deserve to be discarded. Please recollect the past incidents. Thus, requested by Brahma, Shiva wholly agreed. Then Brahma said to Himavan thus: Your task is achieved. The great god Shiva has accepted to marry your daughter. At this sacred moment itself, you can offer your daughter to him. Listening to Brahma, Himavan said thus: O Lord Brahma, no arrangement has been made for the great wedding without preparation and without inviting prominent persons of our clan. I am unable to understand how to proceed with the wedding. Hearing Himavan, Brahma called the divine builder Twashter and ordered him to arrange all the items required for the wedding. Thus instructed, the divine builder created in a short time the marriage hall, the platforms, the vessels, the fire, the garments, the ornaments, the garland, seats, and beds all around. He arranged he arranged plenitude of food and drinks. Then he reported to Brahma that everything was made ready. Seeing that, Brahma showed it to Himavan, who with happiness bowed to Brahma. Then Brahma told the divine messengers to go in divine cars and bring quickly the Brahmins, kings, and other relatives of Himavan. Those messengers very quickly came back with all of them. Seeing the arrival of everyone, Brahma said to Himavan, O Himavan, all arrangements are done. Get prepared and bring your daughter for the wedding. Thus ordered, Himavan soon went to his palace. After arranging the sacred ablutions for his daughter and completing the ordained formalities through his Guru Kasyapa, Himavan proceeded from the palace along with his beloved daughter, relatives, and their wives, and entered the marriage hall and stayed there. Then Brahma prepared Shiva according to the marriage rites. Then Shiva entered the auspicious marriage hall along with his retinue. Himavan saw Mahadeva, who was hideous with matted hideous with matted hair and emaciated, who was wearing a garland of skulls around the neck, a serpent as an earring, and a poisonous snake as the sacred thread, who had three ugly looking eyes, who was surrounded by his retinue of frantic, frightening devils with disfigured faces living in burial ground. Seeing him, Himavan was grieved. Looking at Himavan, whose face was languid with sorrow, and understanding his mind, Brahma spoke to him thus: O Lord of the mountain, why are you drowned in grief at this fortunate time? You are not aware of the wonderful aspects of the great Lord Shiva. Saying thus, Brahma bowed and requested Shiva: O Maheshwara, O Lord, seeing you in this form, Himavan is depressed. Please show him your universally unique, beautiful form. Upon that request, Shiva, endowed with supreme wealth and power, presented himself beautiful like a crore of cupids, with a complexion like molten gold, with eyes like blue lily, with a crown set with shining diamonds, with red garments and garland, with many ornaments. His retinue, also with colorful ornaments and dresses, resembled him and were serving him. Seeing the beautiful Shiva, Himavan was happy and exclaimed that his daughter was fortunate to have such a husband, who is the Lord of the entire universe and who is universally attractive. Saying thus, Himavan bowed to Shiva and said, O great God, I am ignorant about your wonderful glory. I am inert and immovable, and hence my mistake deserves pardon. Thus begging excuse from Shiva, Himavan said to Brahma, O Brahma, this is my daughter. Let Shankara hold her hand and wed her. If you agree, let us not lose this moment. Brahma, giving his consent, smiling, addressed Shiva: O Shiva, without delay hold the palm of Parvati, lest we go beyond this very good time which is free from all blemishes. On hearing Brahma, Shiva held the palm of Gauri, and Himavan, along with his wife Mena, poured water on their hands. Then the high sound from the musical instruments, mixed with auspicious chants, was heard everywhere. The Gandharvas sang, the heavenly damsels danced, the panegyrists praised, heaven showered flowers, the gentle breeze wafted fragrance in all directions. Vasishtha and other seers chanted Shaiva Upanishads. Brahma performed the wedding rituals of Shankara. At that time, Himavan honored all the Brahmins and guests with countless jewels, garments, and money. In the same manner, Himavan worshipped Brahma and other gods with plenty of presents as ordained. Himavan served palatable food with varieties of dishes, drinks to all. The Brahmins, satisfied with the gifts, departed after blessing the couple. Thus, during the wedding, Himavan gifted a lot of wealth to his beloved daughter Parvati. The happy Himavan presented countless gems, garments, jewels, elephants, horses, chariots, and servants. Then Shiva, accepting all the presents, decided to go to his abode along with Parvati, while Brahma, Vishnu, and other gods were praising his glorious deeds. End of the 32nd chapter of the Mahatmya Khandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam.